If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Dinobots are good guys. The good guys have blue eyes, and the bad guys have red eyes, for anybody that's in the know. That's why I did a bunch of custom paint apps on this guy. This is the new Power of the Primes Deluxe Class Slug. And I really like him, but we're going to talk about why I really like him, what I think about him in comparison to an earlier version of him that came out, and everything that I did with him when we cover everything to do with this guy in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share, check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor. Check me out everywhere and spend some time on the channel, see what it is that catches your interest. And right away, this guy is going to come off. We're going to do as we have been doing all along. We're going to take a quick look at his box, his collector card, and his accessories. Okay, so here is the box, and it's a box, and we have a picture of him down here. You'll notice his horns are red. It's all right. His horns are red up here in this artwork as well. On the back, we have a picture of him up here again with the Liege Maximo, showing off how to use the prime armor. We have some prime armor stuff here. Again, we've seen this before. This is not new. And of course up here, it's wondering how he's going to, interact with the power of the primes. By the way, he's described as a hot-headed Dinobot. And next we have the ever-popular collector card. I'm not collecting all 12 of these because there are 12 variants that come with these guys. Not interested. There's no tech specs on them. This is Liege Maximo Slug. Basically, he can manipulate and goad anybody into a fight, which kind of, I guess, matches for a Dinobot. He comes with this blaster. No sword for this guy, just the blaster. It's alright, it's molded nicely, it looks good. But again, it's nothing super special. It does look powerful, so I kind of dig that. And this is his prime armor. It's a big chunk that has spikes right here, 2 thumbs. You have a couple of nubs on the thumbs. You have fingers in here again. Again, you can, as always, pop the clear piece off. That becomes another weapon, I guess. You can put a Prime Master or a Titan Master in there if you are so inclined to do that. Why you would be, I'm not really sure. But hey, to each their own, and if you dig it, then you win. And now we have Slug back in the picture. Now, out of package, there's just some gray right here where the green and blue is. The green and blue is more animation accurate. It's a detail I'd never noticed before. The horns are red, I painted them silver. The fringe around his neck was just gray. I painted that silver as well, and you'll see that a little bit later. The head was like a gunmetal gray, and the eyes were red. I get it, it was inspired by the original toy, but I really wanted him to be animation accurate, so I painted the head red and the eyes blue. I'm going to tell you now that was not an easy task at all. Very challenging. Here he is next to his other counterpart, so to speak, being the Age of Extinction. My custom Age of Extinction Slug. He also came out again during the Last Night toy line. And this isn't a bad Slug, but it certainly is stylized, movie accurate. You know, it is what it is. And he, of course, he doesn't have the whole headpiece of the dino behind him here like this guy does. He doesn't have anything there. I had this guy displayed nicely on my shelf for a while. Obviously, he's going to be replaced now because the Power of the Primes one is just more accurate to me. Some people have complained about the size. I like the size. I think that Deluxe is a fine size for it. I don't have a problem with it. Some people have complained that he doesn't have his traditional wings. I get that. It would be nice to have them, but I do feel like the edge of the frill here almost sort of mimics that a little bit. At least it does for me. Now, he can hold his blaster just fine. And over on the other hand, he can hold that other clear translucent plastic bit just fine. He has the whole prime armor thing. That can go on his arm like a shield if you want, because there's a peg right there. So that can go on his arm. It's where I sort of had it stored for a little while, you know, like that. Give him a shield. But what it is intended to do in this mode is go into this 5mm peg hole right here and sit on his chest. So there you have a version of Slug or Slag, depending on the name that you prefer. And he has a swoop head on his belly. That's weird. And that's, of course, how it looks kind of from the side. It's strange. You could also, if you want, come here. And there's another peg hole there, and you can put it down there. Or I guess turn it up on his back as like some sort of a backpack. I don't know. Again, I've said before, I'm not super into those things. But it's an option. It is an option. There's no doubt about it. Taking this out of it and taking this out of it. So the paint apps. Let's score those now that we've come this far. I think that the paint apps out of package were probably a good 9.5, because they weren't quite animation accurate. If you were going by toy accuracy, they were a 10. With the few changes I've made, I think now this is a 10. I absolutely think that this is a perfect embodiment of him, though it does take a little bit of elbow grease. We're going to put him into all of his modes. You know, you'll see how they work out as we go through. But before we do that, we're going to talk about his articulation. By the way, the AOE Slug, I looked at him way back in episode 68. I had scored his paint apps out of package at a 4. When I updated them, I scored it at about an 8. This guy has better paint apps. This guy is more identifiable, I think, as a traditional version of Slug, if you will. I'm still not buying that name, but I get why it's being used. The articulation for the Age of Extinction, when I said was an 8. So what is it for this guy? Well, the head does move, but it's really hard to do because it's inside the dino head. But it is on a ball joint. It does move if you work hard enough. The shoulders go all the way around, nice and clear. Out to the side, all the way, beautiful. We have a bicep swivel. We have a soft ratcheted elbow to 90 degrees. Nothing at the wrist. We have a waist. We have legs forward to there. We have legs back to there. We have a thigh swivel. I'm not sure if we have a thigh swivel or not. Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah, we do. We have a thigh swivel. We have knees that will get you to about here. It's a little bit hindered. It's not quite 90 degrees. It's probably more like 80 degrees. And I think that's about it here. I think that's about it in this mode. Oh, and his little horns, they can move. They're a soft rubbery plastic, but actually they're a little harder than the soft rubbery plastic, but they're not sharp, thankfully. In Dino mode, well, his robot arms become his front legs, so they still work great as legs. The hind legs here on the side got a little bit more limitation to them, but we'll see that when we get there. Overall, his articulation, for the size class we're talking about, for what he is able to do, it would be nice to have wrist swivel, but that's about it. I'm going to say it's a 9.75. So it's a bit better than the movie version. Okay, So moving on, we have a 10 for pants, we have a 9.75. This guy's scoring really well. Let's get into the transformation. I'm going to do his, I guess, arm mode first. So we bring that all the way up over his face, and we push this back. Now, this is a tight joint. To push that back, I find, is extremely tight. We push it back, we angle it up and down like that. We reach inside and we bring up his combiner peg, and we'll do an arm first. So we'll just put it out straight like it's a shoulder. And then we take the arm and we rotate it around. We do the same on the other side. We bend the arm up all the way. We rotate the fist in. We turn the arm around. Yeah, we have a peg hole, peg right there and a hole right there. And they kind of, ooh, if I can do it, they kind of peg on right there. And we rotate here to the side. And now we have him as an arm. And you would, of course, put the hand in right here. You can turn it the other way if you want, but I would do it this way. His knees are real stiff. So you do get that kind of double elbow, so to speak, but it is a little bit hindered again because his knee is a little bit hindered. But that's him. So if you like that arm, you win. Okay, so we're gonna do the Dino mode next, and then we're gonna end with the leg mode. So we put this down. We bring these out, and we angle that down, and we angle that down, and we bring the head down. But now you don't bring the head all the way back in. If you just bring the head down and let these two little tabs just sort of rest right there, you get a bit of gap between his neck fringe and the body. And that looks, I think, a little bit better. For the legs, you straighten them up and you turn them. Now, the tail comes out. By the way, I love how they took clear plastic here and painted the inside gold. I was concerned about the clear plastic being very fragile, but I don't feel like it is. Anyway, you take those, you angle them that way, then you begin at least to bring them out to the side. You need to rotate the dino leg out of the way, straighten it out, rotate the dino leg out of the way and straighten it out. And then you can bring the tail down here the rest of the way. There's a hinge in right here, and that's what lets you bring that all the way down. Okay, you flip up at the knee, the tight knee. You flip that piece up around, and at the tight knee you flip this piece up around. These pieces go tabbed together, right? You take his legs and you tab his legs together. They don't like to stay tabbed together the best, so you might have to hold them from the side, and then you're going to push them down. It takes some force. Make sure the hips are squared up, and when you push it down, you're looking to get these two little tabs that are on the body go into these two little holes that are in the toes, I suppose. Finally, I got those in. It took a bit of fighting because you always get one that wants to tab in and then the other one doesn't. Next, now that that's finally done, and I just had a leg pop. Next, you take the tail and you flip it down. I can probably show it easier over here. You take the tail on this gray hinge and you rotate it down. You bring up the tail piece, and once this one is all the way down, you bring up the tail piece, tab the tail pieces together and bring them all the way up. Then you rotate that leg down and you rotate that leg down. And in the end, if I can open his mouth a bit maybe, not even sure if I can. You can. In the end, boom, there you have Slug. I don't care what anybody says. I think that is an absolutely beautiful dinosaur mode. I really, really dig it. We have a challenge getting here. I said that the paint was a 10. I said that the articulation was a good 9.75, but the transformation is a little bit of a bear. I don't think kids are really going to enjoy it, and here's why. Because trying to get his feet to stay tabbed together and then tab into the body section here is an absolute chore. It's not fun. That's what it boils down to. That aspect of the transformation is not fun, and I'm not about to be the guy to pretend that it is. As such, what kind of a mark can I give to the transformation? That's a really good question, isn't it? I'm going to say that his transformation is, it's about a 7, maybe a 7.5, because of that one frustration. If you're lucky enough to have a version of the figure that does not have that pain, basically, and is not that much of a nuisance, then I think the transformation at that point probably jumps up to more like an 8, 8.5. By the way, here is the AOE version of Slug. You know, you can see the difference between both of them, of course. I also did the eyes blue here. I liked the AOE version. I like this version. The AOE had a transformation of about the same. It was about a 7.5, or it was about a 7. This guy's about a 7.5. The AOE's pain comes in dealing with the front legs and how they need to kind of get around the fringe of his head. The nuisance of the Power of the Primes one comes with his feet. Some amalgam between the bottom half of this guy's transformation and the top half of this guy's transformation would be a beautiful thing. Taking this out of it again, and we're going to show the final mode for this guy. By the way, this mouth, it doesn't particularly open. It's on a kind of a ratchet. It's just I managed to find a happy point there. So closing up his mouth again. Taking the legs and bringing them down and around, and bringing them down and around so that they're positioned like that. We then take the tail and flip it up inside. We take these arms and bring them down, bend them again and turn them. Take these arms, bend them again and turn them. And we bring up the entire combiner peg and reposition the head. Reposition those horns. Here he is as a leg. He makes a, I think, a pretty good leg. So far, I find a lot of people have said that they don't find his feet stay together. I find once they're tabbed in, if you can get to that point, they're fine. This is going to be one of the limbs of the upcoming Volcanicus. So for now, we're going to leave him this way, and this is how we're going to kind of go out of this review with him in leg mode, and we'll see him again a little bit later on. Paint-ups 10, posability, playability, I'd say a solid 9, and the transformation is about a 7. This guy's about an 8. But at the same time, it is definitely the most G1 accurate Slug that we have gotten in any kind of an official update. And I'm happy to add him. Let me know what you think of this guy. Let me know if you've had an easier time with his feet and his legs, that part of the transformation. As always, I thank you for dropping by and giving me some of your very valuable time, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together right here for another visit inside the videos.